Yes. Well, that was easy. All right. So we're going to call this meeting to order at 5:34. We'll start with a roll call.
Shana Martinez, District 1.
Paul Terry for District 2.
Bill King, District 3.
Harold Stein, District 4.
Herb Dyer, District 5.
Darren Schroeder, Mayor. All are present. If you'll stand with me for the pledges of allegiance and remain standing for the invocation. We'll start with the American flag. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Now the Texas flag.
Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state, under God, one and indivisible.
Please bow your heads with me. Lord, thank you for entrusting us with taking care of this city. Please guide us as we go through and make decisions, have all of the choices and decisions follow according to your plans. Thank you, Lord. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen.
Okay, next item is citizens' comments. Is there anybody that would like to speak for citizens' comments? All right.
Here we go.
Yes, please.
We were trying to negotiate.
Okay.
If they're going, I'm going first. David Mers, 148 Village Path. 2 weekends ago, I participated in the Love Your Library 5K. It was a lot of fun, and you have a very energetic and dedicated library crew.
Yes.
That's all.
Great. Thank you. All right. Anybody else? All right. Next item is consent agenda. On the consent agenda, we have minutes for January 24th, 2023 regular called city council meeting, racial profile report, and resolution for the Castroville Police Vehicle Project. Do I have a motion on the consent agenda?
Move we approve the consent agenda.
Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passes. Next item is proclamation recognizing Career and Technical Education Month. Would you like to come up and just say, introduce why we're doing this? And I think it's really great that we have this month that we can dedicate to our kids. And I just wanted to have you, if you could just state your name and your position and talk to us a little bit about this.
Absolutely. My name is Carol Brewer. I am the Director of Career and Technical Education for Medina Valley ISD. We are here to recognize Career and Technical Education Month. It is a month that's celebrated all over Texas. Career and Technical Education connects students with industry credentials along with their academic achievements. And so we pride ourselves at Medina Valley in our CTE courses. We have a variety of different courses, everything from ag, architecture, health science, STEM classes, there's a construction, there's a wide variety of different things, and our students are able to not only achieve the academic credentials for high school, but they also leave with industry-based certifications where they are ready to work when they leave our school. So that 21st century learning where they connect academics and industry. So we're proud of them.
And I'll get to the proclamation in a second. I want to commend you. You've done a great job of keeping all of us. If you haven't looked at social media, they maintain a page with all of the things that the kids are doing, so please subscribe to that if you want to take a look at this. I know the council has a day that we're going to go over and check out the program, so I've already gotten a couple of confirmations. We'll continue to do that, to work forward to that. Thank you for the invitation on that.
Great.
And thank you for doing this for our kids.
Thank you.
So, if I can read the proclamation, this is in honor of Career and Technical Education Month. Whereas February 1st through 28th, 2023 has been designated Career and Technical Education Month by the Association for Career and Technical Education. And whereas career and technical education offers students the opportunity to gain the academic, technical, and employability skills necessary for career readiness. And whereas students in career and technical education programs participate in authentic, meaningful experiences that improve the quality of their education and increase their engagement and achievement. And whereas career and technical education provides students with career exploration opportunities earlier in their educational experience, which enables them to make informed and beneficial decisions about their academic coursework and pursue established programs of study and career pathways. And whereas leaders from business and industry nationwide report increasing challenges related to addressing the skills gap and connecting qualified professionals with available careers in critical and growing CTE-related fields, including healthcare, energy, advanced manufacturing, cybersecurity, and information technology. And whereas career and technical education prepares students for fulfilling careers by offering integrated programs of study that link secondary and post-secondary education and lead to the attainment of industry-recognized credentials. And whereas career and technical education programs ensure that employers have access to a qualified and thriving workforce, ensuring America is a strong and competitive nation. Now, therefore, I, Darren Schroeder, Mayor of the City of Castroville, Mayor and the City Council of the City of Castroville, Texas, do hereby proclaim February 1st through 28th, 2023 as Career and Technical Education Month. I have a proclamation.
Do you have the whole ISD contingent up here? Thank you all.
Mr. Mayor, who are the other two?
So I'm Brandy Hendricks. I'm the Assistant Superintendent for Curriculum Instruction. I just started in January, so I'm pretty new.
Well, welcome.
Thank you.
And I'm Scott Kalos, I'm the superintendent. Thank you all very much for doing this.
Thank you, sir. Thank
I'm
you.
really excited to hear about some of the stuff that you guys are working on. I think we find more and more opportunities to partner between the district and the city. Very excited.
Yes. We look forward to having you on campus.
Thank you.
Introduce them to our geomatics program.
All right, now that we've got the important stuff out of the way, we are going to go through this. The intent is to be out of here in the next 30 to 45 minutes.
Mayor, do you think we can extend that invitation to EDC for the tour?
Absolutely.
Yeah, I need to do that. Okay.
Yeah, let's just forward it on.
I should have asked before I left, but yeah, okay.
No, I'm sure that that is absolutely fine.
Okay.
All right, the next item is consider and take appropriate action on an ordinance authorizing the issuance of the city's combination tax and revenue certificates of obligation, Series 2023, providing for the payment thereof by the levy of an ad valorem tax upon all taxable property within the city and further secured by the pledged revenues of the system and other matters in connection therewith.
So Ryan with Samco is here. He's here to give us the good news. We had 12 bidders, as he'll elaborate, on our bonds today. I know the council, you have the benefit of having the agenda summary form, which tells you this, but for those here and those listening or watching, what you just read off mentions the pledge of ad valorem taxes. I do want to clarify that this is being paid for by revenues out of the utility system. We make that additional pledge as a way to reduce the cost. All cities do that. These are, again, it's utility bonds that we've paid by the utility. It does not require a rate increase, nor should it. We've designed the current rates. You all made those rate changes soon after I got here last year, and those are sufficient to pay the debt. Now, it does require some growth in the city, but we do not. We've been very conservative on estimated growth. So I want to make those points very clear before we get any questions. Are my taxes going up? Are my rates going up to pay this? And the answer is no.
Yeah, that's exactly right. So first of all, before we get into the bids, let's just talk a little bit briefly about kind of how we got here. Before, when I was here in December, we talked about how you had the AA+ rating from Standard & Poor's. In this process, they took a look again at the city's finances, everything, the demographics, economic metrics, affirmed it AA+. They also have a copy of the capital improvement plan that I know you discussed earlier today going forward. So they're very well aware of everything, all the plans for the city, growth, projects coming, future borrowing needs, and they stepped up AA+ rating still. So they're very well in the loop of everything that's going on here at the city. So congratulations to the city council and staff for getting that. And as I said before, for the city this size, that's really an outstanding rating. So as you can see, we went out to competitive bid. 12 bids received, so there's a lot of interest in Castroville's bonds. That's quite a good amount of bids to receive, and we're very pleased. And obviously, the more bids you get, the more competitive it is. So you came in the low bid, TD Securities, Toronto Dominion Bank. They're getting more active in the Texas market. Out of New York, 3.62%. We were back here running our preliminary numbers. Inflation was going up, and we tried to be conservative, so we ran the numbers at a 5% interest rate. So that difference between 5% and 3.62% is $835,000 over the life of the debt, which is, that's significant for sure. So we were trying to be conservative. We thought, it would probably be lower than that, but to be that much lower, we couldn't have expected this fantastic outcome like this. So behind each, the cover page there, it shows all the different bids. Is just back up for all the bids that came in, if you want to get into more detail on that. But that's really all I had. Fantastic job by the city staff and council to get this result. So I'm glad to entertain any more questions, get into more detail about anything that you'd like.
Great, thank you. Any questions?
Not here.
All right, anything else, Scott?
Nope.
Great, so do I have a motion?
So moved.
You move to make a motion as read.
Take a motion as read.
Do I have a second?
I'll second.
All right, any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passes.
Thank you. If I could get one document.
Absolutely.
You got it.
One of these? One side.
This is John Hancock. Cool. This one's quick.
That's it.
Once these are signed, I'll just give you my last two.
And you are with Clay's office?
Yes.
Yeah, okay.
Yes, I'm
So have you, do they know you? Because I don't know.
I know you. I know you.
Okay, well, that's great.
Yeah.
Oh, all right. Catonia. That's like 12 years ago.
I know.
You haven't aged a day. I'm just kidding. So,
Scott.
Of the ballpark, bond council.
We didn't know that, so.
Lauren.
Laura.
And actually, my aunt just lives down the road, so I was there.
Oh, nice.
excellent.
Now you have to share a name. Who's this?
Caroline and Bill and Fuller.
Okay.
Yeah, they live next to Shirley. Yes.
Right.
Yes. Does that make sense?
Yeah, okay.
Okay.
It's like, yeah, no property in this town for 10 minutes, and that's not what you're related to my neighbor.
And I've got to repeat what he just
Yeah,
said.
13
I think that
minutes.
we should be very proud of the fact that we've spent money on some very impactful projects. We are moving forward in a very positive direction. And to maintain that kind of rating, I think that's absolutely outstanding. Thank you for your guidance through this. And thank you, council, for some very thoughtful decisions.
And one of the things they're aware of is the 120 days that I shared with you. So they do expect us to maintain that. They do know that we're spending down cash, but in my experience with S&P, it's just really important to over-communicate when you do that. So that's why they have the CIP. I expect that we'll be able to continue to maintain this rating as long as we continue to communicate and as long as we do what we say we're going to do, which I don't think is going to be a problem.
Great. All right, thank you. Next item is,
Thank you all.
yeah, thank you both.
Thank you.
Next item, consider and take appropriate action on adopting an ordinance calling the 2023 general election for the purpose of electing the positions of mayor, District 1, and District 2 for 2-year terms, designating the location of polling place and making provisions for the conduct of the election.
So moved as read.
What's the provision for the full polling place? Here?
The polling place is going to be with the, in this packet, we also have the contract for the county, and it will be out at the annex. And so, and we've had, and just to tell you before you go to the next one, we had to do this two different ordinances because of the second one being a special election for our District 4. So I tried to put it in one. Ms. Cindy said no, but it's basically the same.
Okay.
I just wanted that on the record.
Yes.
That's the county annex.
Yes.
All right. So the motion is then,
The motion as read.
And second.
great. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passes. Next item is consider and take appropriate action on adopting an ordinance calling a special election for the purpose of electing the position of District 4 for a one-year term, designating the location of polling place and making provisions for the conduct of the election.
This is also the same polling place.
So moved.
Second.
I have a motion by Councilman Carey and a second by Sheena. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passes. Next item is consider and take appropriate actions on entering into a contract with the Medina County Elections Administration to conduct the 2023 general and special elections.
Just a quick note, in here it tells us an estimated guess of what it's going to cost, which is around $8,200. It also states in there that if for some reason the school was to not have an election, that we would be responsible for the full amount, which, by the way, we would go back and revisit because I wouldn't need as near as many equipment and that type of thing. Although, also, the school is going to have a bond election, so they will not be withdrawing. I'm sure they're going to have plenty to do. But that, just to let you know, we do have it in the budget for $10,000. That will also include the advertisements and such as that if we do have an election. The last date is about Friday, it's the 17th.
Great. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
I'll second.
Great. Motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passes.
Thank you.
Great, thank you. Next item is consider and take appropriate action on an application submitted for an open position on the Library Advisory Board. And let's have, so you have details in your packet about the individual, and let's have our library liaison discuss this.
Okay. So she's going for, what, the vacant?
We have
Or
two
who?
alternate positions on this. One, and I looked at what I put in there, it's going to be for till 2024. I didn't change the date from 2022 or 2023. I did reach out to her. You have her email, she's unable to attend, and her background. I did reach out to the library director to see if she perhaps knew this lady. I have not heard back from her. I'm not sure that I don't know how much she's attended the meetings. We're happy to always have someone here and to come into our boards, but I'm not sure. She may have just seen where we need someone on
But
that
this is
board.
for an alternate position?
Right. The only thing I have right now is two alternate positions. One would be for 2 year and one would be for 1 year.
And I would recommend that stating with our previous policy, we not appoint until the next meeting, but this would be a good chance to talk about the qualifications and anything else that we know about her.
Well, I did put it on, if you remember the last meeting,
Oh, it
under
was
the
on?
consent, so
It
that y'all
was.
could see her app. Now,
Oh.
I didn't have her background
Right.
on there, but this time we do have her background.
Okay. Are you comfortable
But
with
it's up
doing
to
that now, or would you like to further research?
No, I'm comfortable.
Okay. Do you have a motion then?
I so moved. I make a motion that Lauren Cortez be assigned to alternate position number 1
For a 2 year term?
for a 2-year term.
Second.
Great. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passes.
I will let her know.
Great. All right, next item is consider and take appropriate action on task order number 2 with Simple City in an amount not to exceed $115,000 to assist the city with Highway 90 conceptual designs and negotiations with TxDOT. So as we have walked through this, one of the things that we have determined, as we talked about last time, the speed at which things are changing here. TxDOT has approached us with a potential highway design that opens up Highway 90 coming all the way into town, close to the Walmart, a little bit past, with what ends up being basically a 10-lane road. You have the examples in your packet, and we looked at those last time. And so what we're trying to do is do the right thing. I mean, TxDOT they have a mission. We're lucky that our primary planner with TxDOT is also a local, 6th or 7th generation, so he does care about what happens in the city. And so what we've done, as we've talked through with multiple different city planners about how do you deal with the traffic as it comes into town, understanding especially that we're the middle of the hourglass. On one side, through town, the road is 90 feet wide, the right-of-way is 100 feet wide. Once you go past, I think it's past Circle K, it opens up to almost 300 feet wide, and it does the same thing on the other side. So we are literally the middle of the hourglass. And so we're trying to make sure that we're doing things very responsibly. Once this road gets put down, it's there. It is there for our lifetime. So we want to do this very carefully, very considerately, and trying to enable the developers that are trying to put their business on the side of the road without unduly limiting them. Actually, we feel like there are some ways, based on what we've learned from some of these city planners, to make it a lot more friendly. So it's a good amount of money, but I think that it is imperative that we advocate for not just through traffic, but local traffic, which is something that TxDOT at this point does not have a mandate to do. I believe that we have an obligation to do this. So we have a proposal. We have somebody that has extensive experience working with TxDOT, has come highly recommended from previous members of the State Transportation Committee. And so I would recommend that we accept this proposal and have him work on this on our behalf. Do we have questions on that? I know that we talked about this already.
Well, I know I pointed out to Scott today, because looking at the picture, the park and ride, we have a lot of people that utilize the park and ride going to work and everything, and according to this diagram, it's
Right,
gone.
right.
And so,
And that's why we bring in that city planner to
Right.
figure out what uses are. The other thing is that there are no crosswalks. I mean, the last crosswalk is at Sammy's. That is the last way to get across Highway 90 right now.
Well, I want to talk about funding and what this costs and where it's coming from. So this is not budgeted. It's not in the CIP. This is something that you would be using existing fund balance to pay for. And I don't know if I made it super clear in the agenda summary form. I tried, but if TxDOT is not receptive to what our plan is, we would not engage we would not spend the full $115,000 that's been allocated. We'd basically be locking ourselves into, and what my recommended motion was to go ahead and approve the $115,000, because he's given us his scope of work, so that if we're successful, we can continue and not have to bring it back. But the fact of the matter is, we'd be tying ourselves to, I think, a $42,000 cost is that first part, and that's to get through the charrette with the TxDOT, do all the prep and have that discussion and present a plan, and ideally get some traction with TxDOT. If that again fails, then we'll be reporting back that unfortunately we're unsuccessful and TxDOT's doing what they're going to do. So I want to make that clear before you take your vote.
Thank you for clarifying that. More questions?
I'd like the mayor's opinion. What's your guess at this point in time? You and Scott are the only ones that have had any discussion. Is there much chance that if we spend all this money, we're going to get some favorable response? Or is it possible that we're going to have the opposite effect and we're going to cause problems that may delay the project, which to me would be disastrous for us? I'd like to get your views on that.
So we have collectively been meeting with TxDOT quite regularly. I've been meeting with them even more often. there is a chance. If we do nothing, there is zero chance. If we do nothing, then we will get what they give to us, much like we got what they gave to us 8 years ago. This is a design that they are familiar with, but they have other standards that they're not adhering to here. I would say that we have I don't think that we have a tremendous chance, but I think that we have a chance.
I would say one of the things that this will help us do, if nothing else, TxDOT's expressed, they called a meeting in March. They reached out to us and a little bit of an olive branch and said, look, we have all these developers coming to us asking for access and off of 90. And it really doesn't fit with our model, it's not what we want, and we need the city's support in talking to them. And we agree largely that those present issues, but we don't entirely agree with their solution. And their solution is this super street and some of the things they put on Alsatian Oaks that we find overly overbearing, whatever. This gives us the opportunity to have a discussion with the developers and TxDOT and hopefully come to some compromise in some of those areas. So maybe we don't get a full win, maybe we don't get a full boulevard approach, but we may be able to resolve some of those other issues that will be beneficial to us and to the developers.
And it gives us a
then
hand
something better.
it gives us a hand in that design. Your other question was, does it slow them down? I have talked to all of the developers to let them know what our approach is, and they've expressed the same concern, and no, this should not slow them down. What this does is keep, if we can develop a system that works better, that the developers are going to be a part of this discussion. If we go all the way through, the developers will be a part of this discussion as we go through this in March with TxDOT. So the first part is getting through it with TxDOT. We give them basically 2 weeks to work through that, to get TxDOT to give a head nod and say, okay, we're on board, now let's work through the design review with the developers. Then we'll go through that as an entire group and determine how that moves forward. So I think that's what you were asking.
Well, what I'm concerned about is, and let's use Alsatian Oaks because it's the only one that's built.
It's being held up right now by TxDOT. Yes.
Right. Alsatian Oaks has got a roadway that's already built. Unfortunately, they didn't have an agreement with TxDOT when they built it, and it appears like what TxDOT wants to build isn't going to be the optimum solution for them, because it's only going to allow westbound traffic to turn right into Alsatian Oaks. And no traffic from 471 will be able to get into Alsatian Oaks. And anybody leaving Alsatian Oaks is going to have to go west to the next intersection and do a U-turn in order to go to San Antonio, which to me is...
Or go to the school.
Or go to the school, right. It's not a good solution.
Yeah, it's not a good solution.
We all agree it's not a good solution, but what I'm worried about is by getting in front of the TxDOT operations, are we jeopardizing delaying it?
I would say no, and I'm going to speak to what I understand, but then I want Scott to weigh in on this. So from what I can ascertain, no. TxDOT is making a decision. This is what they have is an unfunded design. And I believe that what they're going to be asking for is the developers to pay for this very expensive super street. I think that it ends up costing the developers more money, but in March is where they'll make that determination. They make it one way or the other. They make the determination with the developers that they're going to do the super street or that they're going to do this other design. But there is a decision that's going to be made in March, one way or the other.
The solution that we're bringing forward, just to kind of understand where it's the carrot for TxDOT, we've thought through the traps. You know, not only how do we convince them this is a better idea, a better approach, using their own design guidelines, by the way, but also how do we get Clayton Rips to be able to sell it up, because he's got to sell it up the chain in order for it to really be successful. So we're already trying to think through that, and we believe that one of the ways we'll be able to do that is, and we're preparing for this March meeting with this information, is to be able to show them in real numbers, here's how much money this project saves you, that either because developers are picking up part of tab, but mainly because there's actually be less street being constructed, the lanes will be more narrow, there's other things. And then here's the data that we can show you that shows the throughput. So you're trying to get a certain number of vehicle count moving through. Part of what you will approve tonight would allow us to get this planner to get that data to be able to then put in front of TxDOT, so that we're not just trying to convince them it's a beautiful idea. We're also showing them, hey, it's cheaper, it's going to move cars just as efficiently, and it's going to accomplish the goals that both the city and TxDOT have jointly established, and hopefully also appease the developers. Not that that's super important to anybody, especially TxDOT, but it is important to us trying to have good partners in the city. So,
Does it start at Cobblestone? I mean, not Cobblestone. Does it start at Country Village? Is that going to be the beginning of the super street?
that's where it ends. Yeah.
Yeah, that
So-
is the westernmost point, and
So really Cobblestone won't be affected the way Alsatian Oaks.
No, it will.
Because
It will,
people
because-
will be able to turn
Because,
right.
Country Village comes, yeah, I don't know about, I just know that's, Country Village is supposed to come across to service,
Right.
and that super street's coming right up to there.
So that's going to be a traditional intersection, and the people going in and out of Cobblestone will have traditional access. But the only developer that looks like is being affected is Alsatian Oaks.
No, it's
No,
also
it's Alsatian
Jura,
Oaks.
it's
It goes from
Terry,
211
it's
all the way.
Eudora.
Kingfish.
So, talking about who's affected inside, it is all of the developers, not just them, but it's also Security State Bank, they have property there. It's everybody that is basically from
211 is what they
Country
said.
Lanes
Yeah.
all the way up.
If I understand the design right, coming out of Alsatian Oaks, you will still have to make a U-turn, but it'll be a dedicated lane.
Two of them, yeah.
Yeah, two of them.
Yeah.
I mean,
It's a right turn lane,
It's
two
a
through
good-
lanes,
it's so
two left
goofy.
turn lanes.
It's so
If you
good.
gotta go to the high school.
Everybody that's going down to the high school, it's going to add people onto Highway 90 as we're trying to get out of town.
So there'll be no stoplights between
There are stoplights.
Country Road
On Highway
and
90,
211.
There are still
The
stoplights.
through traffic will never stop.
that's not.
No, that's not true.
No.
There'll be some stoplights.
If you look at the diagram that we sent you,
I did, and I don't see any stoplights.
on that original, we sent you the original PDF, and it shows where the stoplights are on that
But
PDF.
why would they have stoplights?
Because you have left
Have you been
you have
up
left turn
north?
lanes.
Have you been up 281 north to 1604?
I haven't gone to that, I know there's a one up there, I haven't been seen it.
Everything still has stoplights.
They still-
All you're doing is that the traffic can't go straight across. They have to hit a stoplight, then they turn right to go up here. They have to hit another stoplight, then they come down, they hit one more stoplight, and then they go out.
My question is, I'm driving on
That's right.
Highway 90, I'm coming from San Antonio, and I'm going west.
you still will.
My understanding from the diagram is, I don't have to stop until I get to Country Village Lane.
No, you're gonna stop at least twice.
Alsatian Oaks.
Why would I
left-
stop?
left
What's
turn
the
lanes.
purpose?
It has left turn lanes.
You have to have a left turn lane, let the
So-
traffic in.
No, that
Actually-
was the point, there's
well,
no left turn lane.
So I know that we've got lots of questions on this, but part of the, and I don't, again, I don't want to stop the conversation because you're asking the right questions, but that's why we bring in somebody that does this.
Well, these are questions for TxDOT. I mean, this is,
Yeah.
if their plan continues to move forward, we're gonna encourage them to have a public meeting, because I don't think there's anybody in the public. I think once they understand it, nobody's gonna support it.
Right.
And we don't
So
want to.
this is the first step.
Yeah, and anybody can question, just go up there on 281 north to 1604.
TCP Parkway.
And there's Evans Road, all those things. They show you exactly what TxDOT.
You don't go straight across 281, you have to turn right, go up a quarter mile, do a U-turn, come back across 3 lanes to get there and 3 lanes to get out.
Yeah.
So, just to be clear, the motion is to approve a contract with Simple City to do some design work. Now, I'm gonna just throw this out there, Simple City, this designer is also the guy that's going to be, when we talk to developers and say, you have to go through a charrette to design your commercial and residential spaces, which Alsatian Oaks has agreed to do for their future phases, this is the group that they're gonna go through to do that.
Okay.
NP Homes, who, the development agreement you approved tonight, this is the group that he's going to go through to get that approved. This is also, in talking to him, this is a group that we may be looking at when we do an RFP for UDO. They will more than likely throw their hat in the ring to help us to develop our UDO.
Yeah, it's a small, I'd call them a boutique firm. because we've looked at a lot of firms that do this stuff.
Yes, we have.
Too many of them, and part of this is nailing it down. They would be, if they were the one that council chose, they would be the central coordinator. They would leverage other expertise to help out. They've done work in Taylor, Texas, in Bastrop, Texas, in San Marcos. They are very...
Austin.
Yeah, in Austin. They've done a lot of stuff that is specific, small Texas towns.
Are you confident that the Alsatian Oaks developer supports this?
I've talked to Will about this, and he is definitely concerned with anything that slows him down. And part of this is getting this Simple Cities to prove this out. So if they slow this down unnecessarily, if the design process slows it down unnecessarily, then obviously that doesn't.
So he seems to be in favor?
He is cautiously in favor. Just like I am.
The issue is, the problem is, the thing he faces, which the other groups are facing now too, is like the dealership, the car dealership. We haven't heard boo from them because they can't get an answer out of TxDOT. Now, Station Oaks is in the exact same. So even though he doesn't like the concept of having to go back to the drawing board on any aspect of what they're trying to do, the fact of the matter is he doesn't have a yes. And he's not likely to get a yes. And so at the very least, this has some possibility of moving the conversation forward, even if it's not in exactly the direction he wanted to go in. And that's why you hear him saying things like cautiously optimistic. He's not super excited about it, but the fact of the matter is what he needs is TxDOT to say yes. And we believe this is a way to get there.
And there are ways to work this in iteratively, so you don't have to wait until the full design is completely done. They have the opportunity. Right now, they are being stopped because they cannot connect. If we have that plan in place, whatever plan goes in place in March based on our meeting with TxDOT and the developers, that's the plan that they'll use to go forward. So either way, there's got to be a plan, an iterative plan, but he needs an answer.
If we don't hire some Simple Cities, they're building this, period.
The Super Street,
Yeah.
we need someone.
We have no
yes.
other alternative.
Right. They're building that if we don't do something. They might be building it even if we do, but if we don't, they are building this.
That's absolutely correct.
So I move that we engage Simple Cities for an amount not to exceed $150,000 to assist the city in the Highway 90's conceptual designs and negotiations for TxDOT.
I second.
You were too slow. All right, I have a motion and a second. I do want to make a comment, and then I'll ask for further discussion. I think that this is something that we need to continue to dig into. These are good questions. I think that we should have this conversation both online, in open forum, and then as we talk through that with, obviously, meeting with Open Meetings Act requirements. Make sure that you talk through that with staff on how we would actually approach this. Do I have any other discussion?
Just quickly, just the fact of all the questions we were able to raise in a 5-minute span here, I think we need Simple Cities' help.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
Yeah.
great. Councilman Dagger? Okay. Any other discussion? Got a motion and a second? All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed?
Nay.
Motion passes. Interesting. Okay, next item is executive session. Pursuant to the Texas Open Meetings Act, Chapter 551 of the Texas Government Code, Section 551.071, entitled Consultation with Attorney, and the City Council may convene in executive session to receive advice from the City Attorney regarding the following. The item under discussion is airport hazard zoning issues and related matters. Next item is Texas Government Code Section 551.072, entitled Deliberation Regarding Real Property, to deliberate the purchase of real property, parkland acquisition opportunities, and disposition/value of city-owned property. The item here is city-owned property on Washington and Athens. Next item, Texas Government Code Section 551.085, entitled Deliberation Regarding Economic Development Negotiations. The item here is NP Homes Development Agreement. And finally, Texas Government Code Section 551.086, entitled Competitive Utility Matters. The City Council, as the governing body of a public power utility, will meet in closed session to discuss competitive matters, including purchased power agreements. And the item is CPS separation agreement. We're going into executive session at 6:13.
Live stream's still on.
That is illegal.
What's that? She's being very well behaved. I'm amazed.
I didn't realize the apple would keep her so thirsty.
Y'all were having a good time. It's like, I want to go to the city.
I was afraid that the boredom had lulled her into.
I understand, I
How are you?
I just wanted to, so, something, treasure, modified reports, the only thing left is the CMH report, like the big one.
You don't have to do that.
I don't have to do
The only thing you have to do is that is you have it upon it and you screw it over that.
All right,
And you sign up on that, so that would be the only thing.
okay, all right. So if you,
I can scan it and send it to you tomorrow if you want me to.
that'd be great, and if I have anything else I need to send you,
I
just
think
let me
you're
know.
done, but I'm
Right, you
I'll
know,
sign it.
yes.
And then also, by Friday, after 5 o'clock, I will let you know if you want. If I do, if they do.
Yeah. All right, thank you.
From north.
It was chilly the other day, it was freezing.
How's your hubby do?
You ready to go?
I
Dave?
can say today, it's much better since Thursday. It's just not done. We're gonna do the partnership here next Tuesday.
Good.
Keep your
Should I
feet.
get all the way off the chair? Just
Well-
stand up. I don't have to scoot off the far end.
How's your apple? Good?
She's a hoot.
She's kind of the most calm, happy, go lucky, smiling, whatever else that age I've seen in a long time, so.
She
Whatever your genes or you're doing in the parents is, or anybody else is doing
Oh, thank you.
super.
Thank you.
Get gold stars.
I like to think she's just well trained.
Just,
First time she went to church, she was 10 days old.
that's
Or was
true.
it 12?
No,
It was 12.
it was 12, yeah, she was baptized.
12 days old, she was going to church.
So she got
One
used
when we
to
started coming here.
keeping herself
So,
pretty occupied.
Yeah.
We're going to wake up.
Sure, good to see you.
I'm gonna be taking off here, well, I don't know, I'm gonna wait. The mayor promised me this morning, I made some comment, but we can get done by 11:45 tonight? No, we're closing it at 6:30. It's Valentine's, I wanted to move the entire meeting to last week, they said no. So my wife and I are having Valentine's, and the rest of them are too.
Oh,
So we're
thank
meeting at
Nancy said
6:30.
happy Valentine's Day in citizens' comments, and I'm just a little scrambled today. So, but have a good evening.
You too.
then I realized that there's incentives on these things, like,
I don't know if I can eat a fresh cricket.
yeah.
That's what Scott's meant.
Stealing, such a city administrators.
You know, I'm not gonna say anything, I think I'm a pawnee one, so.
Deborah, just let me know when you're ready.
We're back on.
All right, we're returning from executive session at 6:39. So based on our conversations in executive session, do I have a, let's see.
Consider action.
Next item is consider possible actions resulting from items posted and legally discussed in executive session as we are reconvening in open session. Yes.
We have 2 items.
We have 2 items. First item, do I have a motion to have the city administrator to take action to determine the value and process for the sale of city property as discussed?
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passes. Next item, do I have a motion to have city administrator to negotiate terms for special counsel as discussed in executive session?
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passes.
I'm sorry, Mr. King did that second, correct?
He's made the motions, I second.
No, one, two.
On both.
All right, is there anything that we need to discuss for future agenda items, or are you okay with just staying on top of the future agenda item list that we have on the SharePoint?
Yes.
Okay, please do pay attention to that.
I think
We
there's
are
been a couple items added that you may want to look at. I think a couple of your council members added some items.
perfect. Yep. And that's a great place for the beginning of discussion, and I'll continue to try and improve my discussion back to make sure that we get the items on there correctly. Okay, we are adjourned then at 6:41. Happy Valentine's Day. Happy Valentine's Day.
Happy Valentine's Day.
Can I have a motion not to have another? Valentine's Day?